Forever Edinburgh said it came from a collaboration from the likes of Edinburgh Old Heritage, Edinburgh Hotels Association, and most importantly, the City of Edinburgh Council. This came straight from Adam McVeigh's Policy and Sustainability Committee and the Strategy Implementation Group of the City of Edinburgh. So it is very much something we want to try and move forward. So as I said, we've got impact. It is about impact, it's about informing, and it's also about inspiring. We want to ensure that in the short term, we're talking to a domestic audience, which we know about, and we're talking about hyper-local. So it is initially, how do we get residents coming back in to enjoy our city? And then it's getting wider and saying, well, how do we get the rest of the country to come and enjoy this fantastic capital? And then over time, we'll hopefully talk internationally once again. But fundamentally, I said, this is about you guys. It's about how we can all work together, how we can join together and collaborate, how you can adapt Forever Edinburgh. If you were at the launch last week, thank you very much initially for attending, but you've probably seen what we've talked about. We don't have brand guidelines, we've got a playbook. We're purposely engaging with experts such as Leslie to help businesses, saying, we want you to take away and adapt it and adopt it and amplify it. We want you to play with it. We want you to have fun with it, because that is basically what we've not had for the past few months. This is not a time about looking backwards. This is a time about looking forwards. This is about saying, how can we move forward as a city and move your businesses forward as well? And that's where Forever really has come to the fore. In it saying, you've got, as I said, wholehearted support, on national radio during the week from Adam and the likes, saying this is how we need to move forward as a city. This is what we need to do. When you've got organisations, as I said, such as Edinburgh Hotel Association, the Old Town Community Councils, again, engagement with residents to make sure that we're hearing all the voices. But then you've got key businesses like the Kitchen Group, Signature Pub Group, City Cabs, one of the largest taxi operations, Edinburgh Trams, Lothian Buses, all these different organisations proactively wanting to collaborate. And that's the key thing, it is competitive collaboration. This is fundamentally about working together to get people back into this city. And then we can worry about it afterwards. When you've got 53 different hotels all working together, it really does say something. People do joke about my love of LMER and the trains because of my day job, but all joking aside, I'm in regular contact with Mark and the team at LNER. Why? Because we need to support each other. We want to make sure no matter how we get people into this city, we get them in and we get the residents in, so the residents and the people can actually enjoy the city together, because it is about giving the city back to the locals as much as welcoming other tourists in. You'll have seen last week, we've got a number of different aspects to Forever Edinburgh. We've got the promotional film, which you've probably seen. If not, please do go onto YouTube or go onto the ETAG website and you'll see it there. We've got home advertising coming live starting this week throughout the city. So we've got the likes of Northbridge, we have the likes of Meadowbank Stadium. We're working with one of the outdoor media specialists as well, who are gifting us space, which is fantastic. And the exceptionally generous Edinburgh Airport Marketing Department have also provided out-of-home space. Can't think how that happens. But it is all seriousness, it is something that we want to make sure we've got business partners proactively looking, saying, how can they use Forever Edinburgh? How can they use it and implement it in their own businesses? We're speaking on a daily basis to more and more partners, more and more businesses coming to us saying, how can we play a role? How can we proactively develop this? How can we adapt it and adopt it? And I think that is a key thing for you today. Every single business can play a role. Every single resident can play a role. And I think that for me is vital. ForeverEdinburgh.com, the microsite, went live last week. We are purposely saying it is a conduit. Why is it a conduit? Well, simply because we need to make sure that we're handing people to get the latest information. We all know that the information is changing on literally a daily basis. So we make sure we point to the right direction. Know before you go. Plan that visit, be it for 30 minutes, be it for a day, be it for 3 days, be it for 3 weeks. We want to make sure you plan how you're coming into the city so that you're a good guest. And that for me is key. And it is also essential to make sure we build confidence, not just for the people who live in the city, but also for the tourists to come in as well, that we are being responsible throughout. The microsite, I said, is also linked into the list, who we're working very closely with as well, to again make sure we can have the latest and most up-to-date information available for all the people who are looking for that information. We've got the likes of hashtag Forever Edinburgh went up and running as well. We purposely used the hashtag simply because we are working still with the council to understand how best we can use their social media channels. We're working with Adam and Andrew and the team there to say, how do we use that? We will have at Forever Edin on Facebook and on Twitter in the next week. We will also have Facebook frames as well. I'm learning all the lingo, I have to say, as a very old person with grey hair, but it is something that we know is vital. Social media, we know, is a vital lifeblood piece for small businesses in particular, because it means that every single business here can play a proactive role in making Forever Edinburgh that resonating, unified voice. The voice that is there from, as I said, the community councils, the City of Edinburgh Council, the businesses, the residents. It's in every single organisation in the city saying, right, actually, let's all go and pull together. We're purposely not calling it a campaign. It is a platform. Why does it sound such marketing mumble jumble? Well, simply because it's here for you to adopt and to adapt, as we said. It's here for you. It is so you can bolt this onto the marketing plans that Leslie will be able to take you through now. So without further ado, I'll hand you back over to Leslie. And unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to shoot off in about 10 minutes because I need to nick into the airport. But if anybody has any questions, please do, and certainly get in touch with Leslie, get in touch with the ETAG team, the team at etag.org.uk, or please do just directly get in touch with myself. So it's just rob.lang@etag.org.uk, or you'll probably find my airport email kicking about as well. So please do. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. We're here to support your businesses. We want you to support your city. So thank you very much for your time. Cheers.
Thank you, Rob. That's fantastic. Thanks very much. That was really useful. That's great. It's a really impressive number of high-profile businesses with a good reach on digital that are involved. So this is fantastic. Thank you very much. Right, let's proceed through the rest of our webinar. So we can tick number 1 off our list. I'm going to talk very briefly about where this tactic of collaborative marketing sits within your marketing plan, and then I'm going to go through the practicalities of what I do on a day-to-day basis with my consultancy clients. So when I'm creating a marketing plan and actually executing social media or email marketing, this is one of the tactics that I adopt, and then I'm going to take you through some of the Forever Edinburgh collateral. And if you wish as well, you know, I can make up some live sample posts as we go and answer any questions that you have. So here is the process that I go through when I'm working with businesses on a one-to-one basis when we initially create our marketing plan. There are various steps. I sometimes talk about them as chapters, but I always feel like a chapter sounds really meaty and you feel like you have to write War and Peace, which might seem a bit overwhelming, so let's just call them sections. We would document, obviously, what's for sale, what your marketing goals are, and that's not just about sales, so that might be about developing your online reputation, that might be about establishing the type of brand that you want to build. Then we establish your target market. Excuse me a second, there's somebody ding-donging at the door. We've had another couple of people arrive since we've started, which is great. Welcome, welcome. Then we would establish your brand and your brand assets. So that would be your website, your cover images for social media, perhaps a template for your email campaign, any offline collateral that you need. We perform a competitive analysis. We might look at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. We would look at resources, so how much money do you have to execute your marketing plan? Who is actually physically going to execute those actions? Who's going to manage social media? Who's going to look after the logistics if you sell online? And then we come down to the tactics as to how will we drive people to these assets? So will it be advertising? Will there be special offers? What events will there be? And social networking. So this is a section, if you like, within the marketing plan that I create for all of my clients. So who are we going to socially network with, and where will we socially network? Now that could be, where could be Twitter, it could be LinkedIn, but it could also be a collective hashtag across multiple platforms, because essentially that's a community, and I'm going to explain that in more detail. The reason I added this section quite a few years ago, because I would do all of the other work with a client and they would say, well, I don't know what to say in social media, or I post regularly on social media but get absolutely no interaction whatsoever. And in my mind, you know, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been involved in marketing pre-internet, where, you know, I had to get in a graphic designer, had to use a media agency to buy media space, copywriters, the works. So in my mind, when I think about Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, in my mind, those are real networking events. And my fingertips are walking into a room and I'm going to try and socially network with other people. And what I've seen over the years go wrong on a regular basis is that my clients go into that networking event, say on Instagram, and they broadcast, they just talk out loud. And they're not getting any engagement. So I'm going to talk about how we ensure that we get some engagement. And it's just one of many marketing tactics. You know, we probably run some Google ads alongside this, an email campaign. So I don't really want to sort of teach your granny suck eggs, as it were, but let's just make sure that we're all on the same page. What is social media? Right, so here's a definition from, there's one from Wikipedia and one from the online dictionary that talks about it being interactive technologies that facilitate the creation and sharing of information, ideas, career interests, or other expressions. And it talks about virtual communities. And actually what Rob has just talked about is Forever Edinburgh. We are building a virtual community. As forms of media allow people to communicate. So I'm doing this if you're still on video, because that means it's two-way, and that they are sharing information, so they are communicating, and by doing that we are exchanging information. It's the expression of feeling. We're hoping that people understand us, but that also means that we should be listening as well. So it's two-way, communication is two-way. Okay, so you know, people, so sorry, let me ask you, do you post as if you are speaking to a group or a person? Because that's actually what's happening in social media. Do you give someone the nod? So what I'm actually asking you to do right now is imagine that when you're on Twitter or Instagram, that you are actually at a networking event. Remember when we could do that, where we could actually go and physically network together, and you would nod at someone and you would speak to someone and you would perhaps see a small cluster of people. You might recognize one or two and you would try and mosey on into that group. You would ask questions. You might facilitate, you might already be in a group that someone arrives and you facilitate the conversation so that person can join in. And how often do you actually do that digitally and socially? And I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so social media is about being social. Human beings are, and there's my caveat, mostly naturally social. Communication is two-way, and brand communication is very much two-way. People go onto your Facebook page, the message box pops up and they expect to be able to speak to you, but they expect to be able to speak to you within your daily posts and within your page and across the hashtags you use. Now, I apologise if you've come to my webinars before and think, oh, she's brought up that report again from Havas that says staggeringly 77% of people wouldn't care people wouldn't care if 77% of brands disappeared. And it comes down to the content, and it comes down to the way in which we are not communicating with our audience, that we post too much meaningless content, and that our content should be inspiring, entertaining, helpful, educational, informative, and should reward. Now that's subjective to your audience, isn't it? What one person finds inspiring, another might not. But that's quite a good criteria to work to when you're thinking about your own content. So, but why bother? There's lots of other things that you could do. Why bother? Well, most of us will be aware that all of the platforms have an algorithm, which means that when I log on as a consumer to Instagram or Facebook, that the content is prioritized to suit me because I am the customer of the platform, which means that brand content or business messages have been downgraded. So we have to find other ways and means of making sure that someone can hear us when we try and speak to them, and that we've given them a reason to come and engage with us. Now, I will share the link to the slides, and there's a couple of useful links here. Very easy to follow, very simplistic, not techie at all, just about how the algorithms work and things that you can do to overcome that, which include the time of day that you post, using more video. And I'm going to talk briefly about video because we've made some helpful tutorials about using video for social media. But also one of the points that they talk about in overcoming the algorithm is being involved in inclusive and discussive social media. And hopefully as I go through these examples, this is going to make sense. So who does your business socially network with? Have you ever thought about that? You sat down at the start of the month and thought, who will I go into Twitter or Instagram and hang out with? Who makes sense for me to hang out with? How can I, if this was if it really was a networking event, how would I work the room? Who would I hang out with? And what I'm going to ask you to do is think about complementary businesses that already have the ear of your prospects and customers. Now that could be city cabs. City cabs have a wide reach on social media, and some of their customers should probably be your customers. So here's a question. What else do the visitors to Camera Obscura want to do? Because when they come to Edinburgh, it's not only going there, right? So I'm thinking they need to eat. Now, whether that's to sit in or pick up a snack, they want to shop, they might want to get some souvenirs. What else do the visitors at the Apex Hotel want to do? They might want to visit a museum, they might want to go to Camera Obscura. We all share the same customer pool. So, Rob talked about sort of competitive marketing. They all need us. They collectively need us. And what do I mean by socialising? I mean that, do you follow other complementary businesses who already have the ear of your prospects? Do you comment and like their content? So do you show up? Are you being seen? Do you tag other businesses that it makes sense for you to go into Instagram or Facebook and talk to? Do you hang out in communities like Scott Spirit or Forever Edinburgh? And do you ask and answer questions? Of course, I have practical examples of all of these. And when you do, so when your business tags another business, then they will receive a notification and hopefully they're listening. On Facebook and LinkedIn, it actually extends your reach. So if you tag a business on Facebook, not only do a small percentage, because it is actually just a small percentage of your fans see that content, but the business you've tagged, a small percentage of their fans see the content as well. Followers of a hashtag, if they're following a hashtag on Instagram or they're searching on Twitter, they will see your post. And you get alerts, you'll see this when you go through your own feed, that you get alerts about who other brands and other people like and follow. So you're now starting to extend your brand awareness. Therefore, you're starting to become more noticeable. So let me take you through the practical exercise of what we do when we put this section into our marketing plan. So this is one of my clients down in the Borders, the Reivers Road, who have developed this lovely app. So it's, like your virtual tour guide. So you turn up at the Hermitage and you download your app, and your app then is your tour guide, and it tells you about the history, tells you what's nearby, and just basically acts as your tour guide. Now this is a brand new product coming to market, and there are a number of things that we can do. We can run some Google ads for that. We've got a Facebook page. We've yet to launch Instagram. We've got Twitter. We can run an email campaign. We don't actually have any email addresses yet. We can publish some blogs. We can do a lot of things to try and attract an audience. We can pay for advertising on Instagram or Facebook. But this is also a tactic. As I explained to the people who are on the Reivers Road, there are customers in the Scottish Borders, potentially in Edinburgh as well, across Scotland, who would love to use the app but are already engaged with other Borders businesses, i.e. other Borders businesses already have the ear of their prospects. So it would help if we networked with them organically to try and attract them. So we made a list. Right? And if you can see here, we've got Go Outdoors blog, Borders of Adventure. If you want outdoors, we've done this. We've got Barts and Melrose, People's Hydro, Stobo Castle, Arnold Clark. They have the Reivers Road have a sponsorship agreement with Arnold Clark, the Melrose 7, and the list goes on. This is just a section of the list where, and I say I have to put my hand up and say that I have a number of students who work for me who did the desk research, who listed the website, the Instagram page, if they have followers on Instagram, Twitter followers, Facebook, the list goes on, their YouTube channel, and any regular hashtags that these other businesses who already have the ear of our prospects use. Not all of them are on Instagram, not all of them are on Twitter, not all of them are on Facebook, and some of them have a very small social media footprint. But let me tell you what happened. Now, we listed 51 businesses. That wasn't a magic number. I usually say to my clients, let's try and find between 20 to about 40 businesses. But when I added up the collective following across all of the platforms, it came to the staggering number of 19,086,249. But 19 million. I think it's fair to say that they might have the same follower on Twitter as they have on Facebook. So I thought, that's not a realistic number. I decided that we would target 1% of those collective followers. So 1% is 190,000. So my thinking is, if we can socialise with those 51 businesses over 6 to 9 months and get involved, use their hashtags, tag them, answer questions, that we might be able to attract a small percentage. And from a sales perspective, perhaps if we get 1% of the 1%, that's 1,900 new customers, which is pretty fantastic. And only from one tactic. So if we move on, I listed all of those and then thought, well, how do we socialise them? What will we say? So we had some fun making up some social media posts. Is there even anything to do with Scottish Borders? I do a lot of work with Borders businesses, and it seems to, everyone always says it's the best kept secret. So we just made up a list of who we could tag, what it is that you can do with them, or you could even download a travel app, i.e. our app, and we would provide a link to that as well. So we took the list and decided how we could speak to them. And if after the Reivers Road tour you need to unwind, we even have our own gin from at Selkirk Distillers, so we could tag them. And we could use various hashtags, and we could input a picture of the gin. So lots of ways to try and get other people to listen to us and to socialise and engage. Now we did this last year, and the app hasn't actually launched because we've had a few technical issues. And as you all know, we've gone into lockdown, but hopefully it's going to launch before October. So this was when we still had the Edinburgh Film Festival. And in that particular time when I was doing desk research, this hashtag here, because it's used by so many multiple other brands, as well as the Edinburgh Film Festival, and individuals who want to enjoy the Edinburgh Film Festival, it has a ridiculous reach that runs into millions of individuals. So we put together this post, looking for adventure after the hashtag Edinburgh Film Festival. A mere 50 minutes away is a world of film locations, adventure, and a bit of debauchery. If the Reivers Roads could talk, oh wait, it does. It's a travel app. It's your virtual tour guide. And we would insert a photo of the app, trying to socialise with the people who are following, listening, and using this particular hashtag. And that's a prime example of what we're talking about today in using for your business hashtag Forever Edinburgh, because we are bit by bit, and after today, going to attract and amass a large following where they can see your brand if you're using that particular hashtag. So the list of people to socialise was just one bit of this exercise. Then we made a list of useful hashtags that we would also put into our marketing plan. We've got some there. And if you see here, Scott's Spirit, if you go onto Instagram, has received 732,000 posts, so that tells me that's pretty popular. Unfortunately, you can't find out how many people are following a hashtag on Instagram, but there are other tools that you can use to understand the reach of a hashtag. So I've just taken this from Hash Tracking. Other tools are available. And they've given me a sample here. So if you look at hashtag Museum Selfie Day, it was delivered 49 million times to people's timelines. So that means that some people received it more than once. 4,162 contributors. So that might have been brands, that might have been individual people, used the hashtag to amass a collective reach of over 25 million. Now, some of you, I think, are in my generation and some of you are much younger, but back in the day, before internet, when I ran adverts in newspapers, it was all about the readership, how many people picked up the newspaper. None of them had this type of reach, okay? And all of them were very expensive, and I'd be paying £500 to £1,000 for a small advert, not even for a full page. And this actually just comes from socialising, being social on social media. The other thing that we did, just to finish off this practical exercise, was that we made a list of where and when to socialise. So we made a list of all of the relevant events across the borders and the dates, so that we knew when a topic might be trending, might be popular. And again, we went off and looked at their website, and we looked at their social media, and we looked up to see if there was a hashtag for the event, or get their Twitter or their Instagram handle, so that we could take part in that event. Now, pandemic or not, I recommend this to all of my clients, whether it's trade shows, virtual events, award ceremonies. You never actually had to attempt to take part, because I know that's expensive to do it. So regardless of whether we had the money to physically go or not, all of this goes into our marketing calendar, because we can take part on the preferred platform for the event, which quite often tended to be Twitter. So I would recommend, as well as making a list of who to socialise with, that you make a list of all of the events and all of the hashtags, and all of that goes into your marketing calendar. I would stop at this point and ask if there are any questions. Does that make sense to everybody? If you wish to unmute, I'm quite happy to hear real voices, or by all means, just type your question into the chat box. Even if you disagree and you think it's not worthwhile, feedback, keep me on my toes. No, no takers. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Kathy. Good, okay. Getting a bit of a thumbs up that people say it makes sense. Okay, that's okay. If there are no questions, we shall. Oh,
no, not the red one, but any other one.
All right, I think that's somebody not meaning to ask a question, but it's just accidentally come off mute. Okay, we shall carry on. Okay, so I hope for you that is a worthwhile tactic. Oh, hold on. Right, so I was asking about specific hashtags. So you've given me two, so that they are two completely different hashtags, and they don't link to the same feeds. Twitter is an individual database owned separately from Instagram, and even though Facebook own Instagram, they still operate as individual databases. But if you're using something like a social media management tool, then you can monitor a hashtag across all of the platforms. But if you're not using something like a Buffer, a Hootsuite, or a Brand Watch, so that would be another enterprise tool that would sit across all of the platforms, then you have to go in and out of the individual platforms to engage with the very specific hashtags. So what you've given me there, Al, they're two different, they're spelt differently. And as much as we talk about artificial intelligence, the database will treat them as separate hashtags. And then you're saying within an individual platform with these two examples, yes, the answer is, Al, they would be separate entities. Thank you, Laura, for the feedback. So I hope that makes sense, Al. Good, okay, good. Right, let's move on. Now, it's not the only thing I would do, and I've got this sort of weekly formula-ish, because I like to leave my clients enabled and ready to work on their own. And the biggest question I've had over the years is always, what will I post? What will I talk about? So I have this rough formula. You don't have to stick to it. It's not overly prescriptive. Different things happen in your business. But number one is be social on social media. Tag other brands, ask questions, and use hashtags 2 to 3 times a week. Don't forget to talk about your product or service. Remind people who you are, what you're selling, what's fabulous about your product. Do product demos. Tell them about your favourite product if you stock a range of products or you're in a visitor attraction. Big up your reputation once a week. If you get reviews and you're able to share them, or you can share the number of reviews you've got. So I work very closely with a hotel in Ayrshire who've had going on 40 reviews since we've come out of lockdown, and they're all 5-star. So I will be making up a post about that later this week. And share useful sector news, but think back to the 6 criteria that I gave you from the Havas PR report. Is it inspiring or educational, rewarding? How useful is it? Remember to review and like other people's comments. Reply where appropriate to people who are talking to you, and try and facilitate the conversation. So if you do ask a question, or you run a poll, or you have a post where you get a number of comments. So I'll give you, for example, the hotel that I work with in Ayrshire. Now, what was it? One of their desserts which I don't even think I've ever had, and it seems really trivial, is Baked Alaska. So what I took to doing last week was saying that I wouldn't share a copy of the printed menu, but I was going to share photographs. So I did a whole section on desserts, which went through the roof. I had no idea how much people would like it. And they commented, people actually tagged their friends and said, oh, Baked Alaska. Right? So they found that entertaining, inspiring and rewarding. So as a facilitator of the conversation, obviously I went and liked and I replied. I'm going to do another feature on that because it gets so much content, and I'm going to talk about the fact that from a post, so I'm basically going to say, oh, guess what everybody said? That's what I might do if I was talking to my friend or a work colleague. Guess what everyone said about the Baked Alaska? And I'm going to turn that into a recap, because what I'm doing is I'm keeping the conversation going. Right? The conversation will die if I don't facilitate it. So that's something you might want to think about as one of your tactics as well. So I do practice what I preach. I am a small business. It is just me. I am the product. I basically have to turn up to make money. And there'd be nothing worse if I go into social media and I don't get any engagement. So I often tag other businesses and use appropriate hashtags. So at least someone listens to me. I don't like to walk into the virtual Twitter or Instagram room and talk to myself. Call me old-fashioned. Here's a post that I put in LinkedIn, was that a couple of years ago, with a speaker that I brought in for ETAG, who is known to swear quite a lot. And I tagged the lovely Matt. And what happened down here, the comments are actually mostly from his connections, not people I know. So I got to meet new people. And I do that quite often on LinkedIn, where if I tag someone else and their connections take part in the conversation, quite often I will either invite them to connect or they will invite me. So that is, social networking at its best. I'm showing off a wee bit. I didn't get huge engagement, but I don't know if you noticed there that Aldi UK liked my post, but I did tag them and they were listening. This was my attempt. It's not really my attempt at getting a free coffee, or maybe it is my attempt at getting a free coffee, but it's worked a number of times before. Not that I did it deliberately, but after that, if I was with you guys just now in Edinburgh, I'd probably go to a coffee shop somewhere and do my desk work. And if I stay long enough, I might tag them. I might take a picture of where I'm working. Quite often, actually, if they're listening, you do get a free coffee. Just putting that out there. But also tagged my lovely husband and used a regular hashtag that I use, #workdesk, to make sure that I got some engagement, and again, that I wasn't talking to myself. This one was a wee bit of a fail. I have to thank Camera Obscura. They did comment, they were listening. So I wonder if that's something that you're doing on a regular basis. I wonder if after today, I can encourage all of you to go over to Instagram, look up #ForeverInEdinburgh and hit the follow button, and just check into Twitter every now and then, search for #ForeverInEdinburgh. And for those of you who use Hootsuite, social media management tool, to run a stream. If you're not sure what that is, I can talk about that towards the end, or you can send me a direct message. But in Hootsuite, you can actually run a stream for a particular brand, a phrase, or a hashtag, where you can just continuously follow the conversation. Right, so bear with me, because I'm going to say we all know how to do this, and we're still in a lockdown of some sense. But before lockdown, we could actually go to networking events. So I want you to think and imagine how you behave at an actual networking event. Think how you behave when you came to the Apex Hotel when we ran our webinars as in-person workshops, and what you physically did there, and can you virtually replicate that in social media. You probably said hello to someone else. And actually what I'm going to say today is, if you can see the participants, if you can see one another, or say hello in the chat box, say hello to somebody. But you would normally do that in person, but we tend not really to do that on social media. You would have listened and joined in. I like to think that the events that we run in person are discussive, and that you would have put your hand up, or somebody would have said something funny. People ask questions. We would have shared knowledge, news, a joke, advice, story. There's always a lot of discussion as we come in, and there's those tiny wee croissants and the platter of fruit. And I want you to think about that as you embrace your social media strategy. How can you be more social, but also how can we take advantage of this opportunity that is Forever Edinburgh? And remembering that marketing is two-way. And social media is an opportunity for community building. It is not a broadcast platform. So what does this mean for Forever Edinburgh? I don't know if you've noticed, I've added a number of the different logos as we've gone throughout, because as Rob said last week and he said today, this is for you. You can use the logo, the different formats of the logo, and I'll show you those as suits your brand, or as it suits your imagery, as it suits your content. I spoke to Kim. Kim's off this week at the start of this project, and there was a survey had gone out that demonstrated your collective willingness to work together for recovery. And when they'd spoke, the businesses had responded. When you looked at your social media, you already had a collective following of 750,000 followers. I think it's actually much more. There'll be people who didn't respond to the survey, so it's actually higher than 750,000 people that you can reach out to by participating in this opportunity. So how can you get involved? And actually, I'm going to come out of the presentation just now, and I'm just going to go on live to the different platforms that we've got. I'll take this out just now if you haven't already visited the consumer-facing platform, and I'll just put it into the chat box so that you can all cut and paste, but I will go into that just now. Bear with me a second, just to move a few tabs around. So here we are here for locals, staycationers, for people to plan their day and get involved. And anyone from here can download the toolkit with all of those logos, and there are a bank of images. What I would say as well is this is a continually evolving space. New content is being added all the time. So you can go through here, things to do, places to go, food and drink. I have to book a table for Saturday the 5th of September somewhere near the Playhouse. Recommendations aren't welcome. And you can see a number of features here and scroll down, but you can also, a wee bit slow I think, you can sign up to the newsletter, and let me just find the link in my slides. You or others can also add their own photographs. So this is a highly inclusive campaign for businesses, consumers, and interested parties alike. So one of the things that we're trying to achieve, as well as to boost your presence and your reach and your engagement, is to help generate user-generated content. So we want everybody to take part. We want everybody to talk about what is their Edinburgh, what's passion, how they feel about Edinburgh, about their passions about Edinburgh, what they like to do. It can be a view of the castle, it can be a sunset, it can be a fabulous cocktail. What happens when we stimulate user-generated content is that the opportunity, the platform or the campaign, call it what you will, is truly genuine and authentic. It's coming from people, it's coming from the range of businesses. It boosts the reach again, because if you, what I talked there about the 750,000, now we're talking about John Smith, the individual who lives in Edinburgh, and the 500 pals that he has on Facebook, or Mary Brown, very typically Scottish names, aren't they? Mary Brown, who has 1,000 followers on Instagram. We're boosting the reach again. It's also resource, because what's happening there is that the city, the individuals are collectively taking responsibility for the marketing, and it doesn't just rest on someone's shoulders. We're getting deeper and richer content, so the subject matter is broader. If you follow John or Mary, the content feels like it's quite personal to you, and that creates for the council and for ETAG and associated partners a very valuable listening opportunity, where we will probably find gold nuggets of other things that we can then reshare and amplify, and it gives us all this fantastic sense of belonging, and that the opportunity belongs to all of us. So let me come out of here again so that I can share with you and show you that on the ETAG website, we have put together a number of pages, including the toolkit, which I have to say, sorry, I've realised I've just sent that to Beth privately, sorry. Thank you for the restaurant recommendation, Beth. And I'm going to go over here to ETAG, where you can see that we've created a number of pages. So if you go to Campaign Brief, you can watch the recording from Rob from last week. The toolkit I have just shared with you, and the content hub. The toolkit is a continuously evolving space. So Rob was talking about later this week, we're going to have Facebook, I think Facebook and Instagram initially, then we'll share the links there. In fact, let me just take you there now, and then I'm going to go back to the content hub. Okay. Okay, so you can watch the video here. There's another link back to the Content Hub, but there are a number of videos, and I've got 1 or 2 more videos to add here as well. So there's a video about how to create social media posts using Canva, but I think I'll do a quick demo of that if everybody's okay with it. How to use your mobile phone, how to make video using your mobile phone. We ran webinars on these, but these are very short, between 8 and 10 minutes demonstrations that you can follow live on your phone. How to update your Google My Business listing. We will share a really short video as well about using the social media frame that's going to come out soon. So some of you might have used or be familiar with the social media frame that was launched by the NHS when we went into lockdown. I actually can't remember, was it Support, Save? But it was the frame that went around your face that you posted to your profile. And then information here about using the hashtag. Here are a couple of examples that I made up earlier. It's a lovely Beth and Fiona. So you see here, I've just said, great to see, and I've tagged Crannican and Crowdy today, and catch up on hashtag Forever Edinburgh. So they will get an alert. Anyone who's following the hashtag will see this. And I have downloaded the logos, which I'm going to show you how to do, and I've added that to my image. And then another lovely one here with Emma from Mary's Meanders, where I've done something similar. And I've done all of that using Canva. So I will take you through a short demo, but you can go off and watch the video. But this is an evolving space, so we plan to add more information here. And then you can access the Content Hub. So bear with me. Oh, so I think someone's get thrown out and come back in. Hold on, well, I'll just let Jane back in. Here you go, Jane. So you can download the playbook here. And as Rob said, it's not brand guidelines. This is a very relaxed opportunity. And you can come down here and you'll see that the variety of different logos. And if you click here, download all logos, that will automatically go into your download box and you will have a version of all of these. So you can, for example, if I go over here, and we've run a couple of sessions before on Canva, but for anyone who's not familiar, if I go into Canva, and I only ever use the free version of Canva. I know that there's a paid version, so it's entirely up to you. You'll see here that these are templates that are set to the right size for social media. So say, for example, I want to make up an Instagram post. It will give me the blank template for Instagram. And I could use one of these templates if I wanted, or I can upload my own photographs, and you'll see that I've already got photographs that I've uploaded, and I've already uploaded logos as well. But I will just demonstrate. So if I click upload an image or a video, and I say from my device, and I go to my downloads, and you should see here. Aha. So when I clicked download those logos, I got a zip file, logos there. Can you see that in grey? And then I double clicked on it and it became this folder here, where I've got all the different versions of the logos. For some reason, I've just taken to the horizontal. It just seems to be my thing. And if I go down, I've got them in all different colours. So I can choose one of these and then I could upload it to Canva. So I'll just take this one and it will add it along with all the others. And I can do the same if I want to upload an image, but there are also images within Canva. So let me scroll down. I think this might be the one I used for the event. So I can just resize that. You can use other tools as well. You might have a preference, and then maybe, I don't, do you see the thing there is, I don't know how clear you can read that. So that's a bit of a challenge as well, where you might want to play around with the different colours. Let me try, is that a bit better? That seems a bit brighter, doesn't it? Maybe that's the image that I've picked. But these are things to consider as well. And we may run another session actually, if anyone would find it helpful. I will send out a feedback link after today. So if you would find it helpful for us to talk to you about making up branded content. I do like the grey, but you can't really see that at all, can you? And I could spend a long time here. I'm going to go back with something fairly bright. I'll leave that there. I might add a piece of copy. I might write something like, so if I click on this template here, I don't want to get rid of that. And I might write something like, bear with me. Leslie was great today at hashtag whatever Edinburgh. It's Thursday. and then you can download it. But obviously, you know, you can add your own business logo. There might be a photograph of your business. It might be your product. It might be something about the service that you provide. But you can use this in a variety of ways, is the point that I'm trying to make. It's there in a variety of colour schemes, whether you feel that you need that to match with your own branding or the particular piece of content that you're using. It is all there for you to use and interpret. So there are the sample posts that I made up earlier that we've put on that page. Hopefully that will give you some inspiration for your own content. Like I said as well, you know, we've got the YouTube channel there, and we've made up a number of short videos. So there's ones about using mobile, and I might actually ask Stuart to edit this one, because at the time that we were doing it, we didn't have the logos. So I might actually just ask him to do a small snippet to show you how to add the Forever Edinburgh to any of your video, if you would find that useful as well. In fact, let me come out of that, and I will give you this URL. So you can cut and paste these out of the chat box. I'm going to give you the slides. The slides are in a PDF, so it might mean that you would have to retype these. But going back to the strategy and the requirement of marketing, memorability is very, very important in marketing. And given that so many of us, like myself, have either tiny or non-existing marketing budgets other than our own time, we are quite heavily reliant on digital and social media, and we don't necessarily have the resources of big brands who run campaigns like, maybe it's Maybelline, and because you're worth it, and dare I say, now I'm really showing my age, a Mars a day helps you work, rest and play. I am showing my age. But that's all about memorability, and that's what works. And it's about a brand being at the forefront of a customer's mind, to the point where they discount all other options. You know, where people say to one another, do you want to go for a Starbucks? When did they stop saying coffee? Do you want to go for a Starbucks? Do you fancy having a Costa? Not do you want to go for something to eat? Well, we get a McDonald's. Memorability is very, very important in the success of your marketing strategy. And we have a massive opportunity here in terms of promoting Forever Edinburgh to benefit from that aspect of memorability. So what should you do now? Actually, I shouldn't have pressed the return key. I should have left that. What should you do now, and got you to answer the question. What I'm really hoping that as of today, that you're going to go off, and at the very least, if use the hashtag Forever Edinburgh until you get to grips with the logo. Have a go at using the logo. Go off and watch our Canva video on YouTube, and please, please take part. That's a copy to the link for the slides. And now we're going to invite all of you to ask us your questions. So who has some questions for us? In fact, I might just ask, if you're still with us, Mags, do you have anything, or Gillian, do you guys want to come and offer anything else just now, or?
Hi Leslie, it's Gillian. I'm not sure, I think so from my side. I think you're doing a fantastic job covering it from all angles. So no, unless anyone's got any specific questions, and no, nothing to add from my side. I don't know about you, Max.
No, the only thing I would say is that the 750,000 number was quite low. I think we actually got to over 3 million by the time the survey was finished.
That makes more sense. That makes more sense. Just when you think about the brands that Rob mentioned that are already on board, you know, if you think about Signature Pubs and the number of different individual brands they have within the group and the presence, because I've worked with them a number of times, you know, they're definitely going to run into nearer, I think, 100,000 alone. So, you know, I did wonder. So that's a massive opportunity.
Yeah, and we think that's a kind of underestimate as well, as you say, as we get more and more people signing up, and hopefully we get more and more partners, we get more individuals, consumers, visitors, residents as part of it. You know, it's just a great opportunity, I think, for everybody to be talking and promoting the city.
Did I do a straw poll with everybody? could you say, either just give me a yes or no, do you feel enabled today to take part, yes or no? And I will be sending out a feedback survey so that you can tell me a bit more about what we need to do to help enable you to take part. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to answer, Wendy and Alan, would answer your question. All right, good. So yeah, so a lot of people, thank you, Louise, Susan, Al, Wendy. Yeah, that's fine. No problem, Wendy, Gary. Yeah, so most people, this is great. I'm so pleased. I'm giving you a round of applause. So great. So many of you are feeling that you can absolutely take part now. So Wendy and Alan, I have a question there. You're saying that you found a way to link Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and is that a problem? Potentially. If you're tagging someone on Instagram and using their Instagram handle, you know, i.e. their address, it's like the equivalent of their email at Instagram, it will probably be a different handle on Twitter, so it will not work across the board. But you can use Hootsuite. So I use Hootsuite for my clients, and you can use that platform for free. It's a social media management tool, and within that I manage their Facebook, their Twitter, and their Instagram, and I cut and paste the posts, and I can schedule the time that I want to put them out, and it does allow me to interrogate those individual, because they're individual databases, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and find the right handle. If you weren't tagging people, then it's probably not so much of an issue, but that's just something to bear in mind there. So thank you for the question. Anybody else? So Kathy's saying here, do we have a list of Edinburgh businesses involved in ETAG with Twitter, Instagram and Facebook names we can access? I don't know if we've actually got that in a spreadsheet anywhere.
Yeah, we're pulling that together and we'll make that available.
Yeah, yes, Kathy. The answer is yes. And I guess we're
not yet, but on its way.
Right. We will be sharing more information, won't we, Max? I mean, certainly we've got to update the toolkit again next week when Kim comes back, and I think we've got other things that we want to add. We're going to add an example of the social media frame. So there will be more information coming out. I guess we'll probably put that out on Twitter or...
Yeah, and we'll put posts out and MailChimps. Make sure you're signed up on the ETAG website for our mailing list so we can get stuff out to you as well. But it's going to continually evolve, and that's what we're looking for. And we'll also be looking at different themes coming through that we might focus on for Forever Edinburgh for different parts of the different times of the year, different opportunities, etc. So it's going to be continual. It's going to be over 12 months. So this is not a sort of one and done piece. It's evolving.
So Al's got a really good question here. Who has reuse rights to images we might upload to Forever Edinburgh? You're saying that you're usually happy for people to do that, but you know, and you're right, Al, it's not fair if people are making money out of photography. My understanding is, and I'll ask Mags and Gillian to confirm, that if you're uploading it to Forever Edinburgh, you're putting it in the public domain because you're happy to share it. Is that the case, Mags, Gillian?
There is, if you go onto the website, there's actually a whole set of terms and conditions that when you're uploading your photo, you can get access to. So I would encourage you to have a look at that. It gives you, in essence, when you're sharing an image, it tells you what you're signing up to, basically. So I would encourage you to have a look at that. It's on the foreveredinburgh.com site at the upload photo section.
So Beth, you're saying share names of social media that are good examples for us to look at and not necessarily in Scotland. So I'm kind of hanging off my favourite. I need to find more favourites because I use them quite a lot in webinars, and that Greg's the bakers tend to be pretty good on social media in that they're very conversational, or they will post a piece of content. You know when someone tells a joke or you have an in-joke and you just get it? They're very good understanding their customer base and posting imagery that people just get, that provokes a lot of comments. Iron Brew do something similar as well. And I think that just actually comes from putting yourself out there and testing it and taking time. You know, I found with my client in Ayrshire, I must have baked Alaska sometime. I mean, it defies me. But, you know, people go crazy for it, and there are certain pieces of content that I've started to learn that the audience just really resonate with. So I think it's something that we have we have to learn. But Beth, I've got your email, so I'll source some other information for you and share that with you as well. Austin, yeah, totally. Austin, you're just saying, can you contact me directly to look? Yeah, I've sent you. I'll send you my email address. Just email me after the session, and I'll see what I can do to help you out. That's absolutely not a problem whatsoever. And some of you started to share your links in the chat. That's really useful. Thank you very, very much. That's appreciated. Any other questions? Sorry, I realised that we've finished a bit earlier than we planned to. I don't think that. I'm sure that won't be a bad thing. Anyone else? We've got my email address. You're very welcome to get in touch with me. And the email address, Gillian, is it the team at ETAG?
Yeah, the team at etag.org.uk. I'll
put that in the chat as well. Mags, Gillian, do you want to add anything else before we round up? Oh, I was supposed to say the team, sorry, I don't know what happened there.
No, not from my side. I think I just thanks you, Leslie, for bringing this to life a bit. I mean, obviously this is the kind of the start of the journey, and you know, as you said at the beginning, this is about building a virtual community. So we're really keen that everyone engages in this and becomes a part of that community, and it's by doing that together that we can really kind of increase visibility and you know, support businesses right across the city. So yeah, really keen for people to engage, and you know, any feedback people have or ideas, then just send them through to that email address, and we'll do our best to respond to that.
Good. That's fantastic. Thank you, Gillian. So a couple of things here in the chat box. Al is saying it would be helpful if people could say a bit about what their company does. So Al runs outdoor experiences ranging from urban geology, wow, that's really interesting, to fun and holidays. I'm going to challenge everybody to put something out today on your preferred platform. We'll go across all of them with the hashtag Forever Edinburgh, just saying a bit about what you do. Just a bit about what you do. I've talked about the platforms being, you know, virtual networking, where if we bumped into one another, you'd say, oh, what are you doing these days, Leslie? And I would tell you, and I know from experience that we forget to tell people what it is that we do or what drives our passion. So why don't we use the opportunity today, get the hashtag out there, reintroduce ourselves. I will go across platforms today looking for it, liking and engaging, and I would implore all of you to do